I'm Judy Esquivel, and welcome to Make Your Own Self-Making Seasoning Show. And we're going to start our series with an episode on how to make your own breadcrumbs. And it's very simple to make your own breadcrumbs. And I've seen Marianne Esposito say, don't go out and buy boxed breadcrumbs, because boxed breadcrumbs are flavored breadcrumbs, and they put a certain flavoring in them, and it doesn't make them taste authentic. So it's best to make your own, and today I'm going to show you how to make your own breadcrumbs casalinga style. So you have to start out with a dense bread, and this bread is a really good bread. You could use stale bread, but if you use rye, it just won't be the same color. But if you want your breadcrumbs to be dark color, you can do that. This is a bread with a really dense crumb. If it was bleeding through, it would not work. If it was raw bread, then that would not work out. So I have cut a few slices of bread. This knife is very sharp. So this bread is something called a local Tivatea bread. And a local Tivatea comes from Tivatea Bread Bakery, the best bakery in town. That's a good detail. So I have 3 slices of bread that I'm going to put on my baking tray. Now this baking tray is a manufactured baking tray. You can find it in any cookware baking tray still. And this baking tray has similar designs on it, such as merimico. And merimico means the designs are triangle and square and all that. So now we're going to put this in the oven. But before we do, I'm going to put some gloves on, because you don't want to get burned by the oven. And my oven has been cooled down, but it's still a good precaution to put gloves on when you're baking bread. So now we're going to put this inside the oven, and don't use real hairy gloves for this. It'll just be too much. So you put it in at 475 degrees. And guess what? I made some for you ahead of time, and it is simmered and it's cooked nicely. So this is garlic bread. You can enjoy this bread with a brushing of garlic sprig. So this is all your bread. You don't want to touch this because it's very hot. So now we're going to blend this up. So here is a food processor. And if you never used a food processor before, then life is full of new experiences. So here is a food processor. Marianne's is white, mine is red. A red top, red bottom. And you want to be really careful when you use a food processor, because there's a blade in here. And it's a very, very sharp blade, so you ought to be really careful. And these are the off-on pulse buttons. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top off. Just take the top off. And now we're going to leave the blade in there. And we're going to take it out when we're done. And now we're going to put our bread slices into the food processor. Put about 3. If you put 2 or 1, or maybe 2, it's going to make a lot of bread, but it's probably going to go right up to the top. So now we screw the lid back on. Still our muscles here. Alright. And now we're going to press the on button. And it's kind of challenging to do on the bread. So you get the bread, now let's see. Now let's see, but it's not there yet. There's still some pieces of bread that is stuck. Now, when you do it, you have to stop it and see if the bread is ready yet, and I don't think so yet. So you have to pulverize this for a while until you see no more bread in your food processor. Now let's see, that's good. Maybe just a little bit more, and then we'll test. So you want to get this really pulverized till there's no chunks of bread. Now if you wanted to do this the homemade way on mono, you can do that. You can put some eggs and some flour, and you could put breadcrumb flour. So now we're going to take this out, take the lid off, and watch the blade. It's very, very dirty, or very soap rather. So take this off, and now we're going to dump it on a plate. And now we're just going to shake it underwater. This is a really pretty red plate. So now we're going to move this plate out of the way. And now we're going to just get all of this spread out. Now, you could do it just like this, or you can add some pepper to it to give it some nice aromas and some salt. And then you can make a few designs, and I choose to do my designs. So the first design is going to be a stone oak, and if you're not familiar with doing that, then you only have to. So this is how you make a stone oak. What you do is you just curve your brush like that. Now if you wanted to do it differently, so it would be a stone oak if you got rid of these crumbs right here. So if you get rid of these crumbs, it'll be a little sidewalk. If you put these crumbs back in, it'll be a stone oak, or maybe two stone oaks. Now if you want to do it differently, you can do it like this. Now what you do is you swirl the breadcrumbs around. And look at these beautiful designs. Now, this design that I just made is called a swirling delight. And a swirl do delight means that the swirls look like little leaf designeries. So you can see why. So now we're going to spread this around even more. Now this next technique comes from Costa Rica. What you do is you just move breadcrumbs around, and you have a bubble, and you have two little lines still. And here is your other two little lines. Now there's many designs you can do with breadcrumbs, and there's also many techniques that you can do with breadcrumbs. As well as putting them in totes. You can do that. You can make a breadcrumb pasta, make a breadcrumb wheat pasta if you want to. A dumpling. There's many varieties of things. Even shrimp with breadcrumb, a oreganato. And a colossal guy called Chris Poto showed us how to do that. So now we want to just spread them out and get them back into the regular foam. Because if you wanted to redo it, you'll have to put it back. There's no reason you can do it. If you redo it, it'll go everywhere. And this food processor matches with this plate. Only because it's red, this is red and black. And that is a very, very good way of making your own breadcrumbs, and a very professional way of holding the store people's feelings, because you made your own. Making your own breadcrumbs makes all the difference. I'm Julia Eskinwall, and next time you're with us, we will show you how to make coffee next time. And until I see you guys again, I'm Julia Eskinwall. Wood.